Welcome along to episode 744 of the Milk Bar. Jason Forrest here with you as ever. Coming up on the show this week, Turi King lets us know about her talks on DNA taking place at the Gatehouse in Stafford and also Theatre 7 in Shrewsbury. We hear about the Panto at the Garage, which is coming up this Christmas, and also about their youth scheme with Johnny McLean. On top of that, we'll be talking to Professor Green all about gas bills and the cost of living, and author Peter James lets us know what's going on with his latest book release. That's all on the way on the show this week.
Welcome to the Milk Bar. 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 Welcome to the Milk Bar.
Now, number one best-selling crime author Peter James is joining me now to talk a little bit about what it takes to make the ultimate fictional detective from a very real-world one that he knows a lot more about. Peter, how you doing, sir?
Good. How are you?
All good here. Now, it's been probably 12 months since we last spoke, as I recall, and we're talking about some amazing work that you've done then. Your books are always popular, but it's because, you've got to have a believable protagonist when it comes down to the detectives in these novels.
Yeah, I think people read books first and foremost to see what happens to characters that they engage with. Yeah, I think characters is actually much more important than plot. And I think, I always, if I'm ever teaching creative writing, I always say the three most important things in this order are character, research, and plot. Because people read books to see what happens to people they engage with. And you don't have to be nice people. You can have great villains too, like Hannibal Lecter. And I think people who read are intelligent. And the fact they're reading means they're intelligent. And when we read, I think we don't just want a page-turning story. We want to learn about something as well, and increase our knowledge. So that's why I think research is so important also in a book. And obviously plot is important, but that to me comes a long way third. Certainly my Roy Grace novels, I always focus first on the characters, I always try to portray Roy Grace and the police, but also try to portray the villains, and I try to portray the victims too.
And have you sort of changed the way you write since the TV show? Has that made a difference to the way your characters kind of developed?
It's a really good question. Grace on television has in many ways been really helpful to my writing, because if you'd asked me in 2003 to do an identikit, when I first created Roy Grace, to do an identikit, it would have come up with someone who looked just like John Sim. And ditto with Glenn Branson, his sidekick. And what I find, every time I've started a Roy Grace novel, even before the television series, I'd sit down and I'd talk to my characters in my head. I'd say, "Hi, Roy, how are you doing? Hi, Glenn, how's your train crash of a love life? Hi, Bella. Hi, Norman Potting. Who've you upset this week?" Now, I've always, as a writer, I've always found it impossible to imagine characters out of thin air. I always take somebody I know and make them a character. So I might take you, but I might make you a brain surgeon, or I might make you a cab driver. I just take the physical you. And now I've got the characters. I know how I've got John Sim is a lovely guy, and we've become mates. So I know how he eats, how he laughs, how he moves his hands, and it really helps me. And it's the same with all the other key characters. I've sort of got living models of them now.
And through that, and through a good connection as well to the next story you're telling with your latest book. Obviously, this helps when reality requires your attention to not only highlight things, but also to solve a good case too.
Absolutely, and yes, Stop Them Dead has been a fascinating journey, because I'm actually been working very closely with the RSPCA on how we can alert people to the perils of buying an illegally smuggled dog, or an illegally bred dog, or indeed a stolen dog. And the whole idea for the book came to me. I read an article in the local Brighton paper, the Argus, about a woman walking her Springer Spaniel in a park, was mugged for the dog. And the value of this dog was £5,000. This was like 2 years into lockdown. And I thought, if you're mugged, you're unlucky enough to be mugged, and you have a watch stolen or whatever, you can get that back on insurance, but a dog is something that is part of your heart and soul and life. And as a massive dog lover myself, I couldn't imagine how I'd feel if my dog was stolen like that. And that
You've
was
got the trauma of being mugged, which would obviously make you feel bad enough as it is, where even if you say you're losing material things, but when it's a member of the family as well, and it is, you know, good that dogs are valued to this sort of value, but actually their true value is more about them, their personalities, and being part of your life.
absolutely, you can't really put a value on a dog. But this did happen during lockdown. Can I just give just a note of comfort to everybody listening who is a dog lover? As a dog lover myself, I could never write any description of a dog being harmed. I've written plenty of descriptions in Stop Them Dead of the villains being harmed. But there's nothing that anybody who loves dogs will be upset about in terms of reading about the animals. But I discovered, I had a meeting with the chief constable, who was also a big dog lover, shortly after I'd read this piece. And she said, dog crime has become epidemic throughout the UK. This was during lockdown, but it still continues. And to put some proportion on it, if you wanted a particular shade of color of a breeding bitch, blue French bulldog, they're the ones that all the A-list celebs want, you could pay £100,000, and you could pay £25,000 for one of the puppies. And it's through incredible values like that organized crime gangs throughout the UK are making more money out of dogs and drugs, and with ridiculously low sentences. If they're caught with drugs, it's 5 to 15 years. With a dog, most they're going to get is a 6-month custodial sentence.
So obviously it's a very different world, but one where it shows our love of these animals as pets and as part of the family. And so that's something that will be explored in this latest novel. So that's going to be something that your fans will be coming to. But when it comes down to the detectives, I mean, how does it work out? How do you create that perfect detective?
Well, I was very lucky in that back in 1981, I just read my first ever book published, which was a not very good spy thriller. And we got burgled. And a young detective came to take fingerprints, and he saw the book and he said, "Oh, if you ever want research help with the police, give me a call." And he was married to a detective. His name is Mike Harris. He was married to a detective called Renata, both at Brighton Nick. And my then wife and I became friendly with them, and they invited us to a barbecue at their house one day. And they had a dozen of their friends, all cops. They had a homicide detective, response, traffic, neighborhood, policing, etc. And I thought, talking to these people, I thought, you know, from a writer's perspective, nobody sees more of human life in a 30-year career than a police officer. And not only that, they see pretty much always the dark side of life. And that was the start of my fascination. And I I then started putting these characters into my books, thinly disguised, and they liked the way I portrayed them. And I was writing psychological thrillers back then. And in the mid-90s, I was introduced to a young homicide detective in Brighton called Dave Gaylor. And he was a DI, and we just clicked. And he helped me a lot in the book I was then writing. And he got promoted in 2002 to Detective Chief Superintendent. And my publishers asked, had I ever thought of creating a detective as a central character? So I went to Dave Gaylor. I said, how would you like to be a fictional cop? And he loved it. And we are best friends today. He actually works for me now. And he reads the books every 150 pages, tells me how Roy Grace and the other police officer would really think and act. And through him, I've met numerous other detectives, not just in the UK, but around the world, who also helped me on the authenticity.
The Perfect Detective, Superintendent Roy Grace is back in his new book, Stop Them Dead, and because the series returns as well in the not too distant future. Where do we go to get all of your work and, of course, see your back catalogue?
Any good bookstore should have them. Obviously, Amazon. Stop Them Dead's out on the 28th of September, and then they filmed 4 new Grace episodes this year, which is great. And I think they're going to start broadcasting at the end of January, February. And I do also encourage people to support their local bookstores as well. But my books from the Stop Them Dead, whether it's in hardback, Kindle, Audible, will all be available on the 28th.
Well, always a pleasure to speak to you. Peter Jones, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Beauty and the Beast is at the Lichfield Garrick from the 24th of November right the way through until the 7th of January. I'm joined now by three of the stars here on stage at the Garrick. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Right, introductions, please. We'll start here.
I'm Melad. I'll be playing the Prince and the Beast.
Oh, so you're giving the game away there. That's spoilers. That is spoilers. Next.
My name's Kat,
And?
and I'm playing Belle.
You do
I
our
didn't want
Bell.
to give the game away.
Okay,
you know.
but yeah, he's already wrecked it. And finally, we got someone with a wand, I think.
I am Natalie, and I am playing the fairy.
So, good fairy.
Oh yes,
That's
always
it.
good. Yes.
Now, is there a bad fairy in this one, or is there evil afoot?
There's an enchantress.
Oh.
She's a little bit mean. So
Okay, but you're nice.
I'm going to be the good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Know the nice
And the
spells.
tiara tells us that as well.
I know, yeah.
So it's obviously it means Christmas is on the way.
Yes.
Are we excited?
Very
absolutely.
Yeah, and Panto is always good fun.
Yes.
And as Belle, you must have a good time in this show. Obviously, she has a few troubled moments, but
She does.
it's probably going to work out okay in the end, isn't
Hopefully. I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
I'll
Don't
try
wanna
my
give-
best.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
all up to
it
you,
is- it is all on you.
Really.
it? You've got to
All
play
the
your
best.
part as well.
I
but
won't give you too much of
Yeah,
a hard time.
Thanks.
yeah,
I'll try.
We'll see how it works out. But I mean, Panto, is this something that you've watched as a kid?
Oh yeah, all the time. I remember being taken up on stage to do the song sheet when I was 7 years old.
And before you know it, you're on
Yeah.
this side of the stage, dragging children up and
Yeah.
making them sing songs they
Yeah.
don't know.
Yep. What goes around comes around.
It's only fair.
Yep.
Hopefully, there's a goodie bag at the end of that.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Lots of chocolate. Yeah.
Yeah, so that made up for it.
Yeah.
And I mean, Panto, for you, I mean, is fairy something you've always wanted to be?
Yeah.
The
who
one
who
set it off
doesn't
well.
want to have like magic powers? You
Yeah.
know. I'd love being the fairy.
But do you forget when you're in Weatherspoons later on that you don't have magic powers?
I don't know what you're talking about.
'Cause, I mean, the app sometimes makes it feel that way, doesn't it? But okay, so and as the Beast, I mean, but the Prince, and you get a juxtaposed position on some amazing roles.
Oh yeah, so fun and an amazing costume, which I cannot wait for.
This is the bit you're looking forward to.
Oh yeah, we won't tell them anything about that just yet.
Well, that again will be the surprise. Yeah.
Keep that under wraps.
But with such a powerful part in a show, you've got to woo the wonderful Belle too.
I know it's going to be a hard job, but do you know what? I think I can do it.
You reckon you got? Can you do it?
Pardon?
Can you do it? Do you reckon he's going to be able?
Oh, I'll make
Maybe
it
not
work
like
for
this.
It, yeah.
Maybe with the costume.
Yeah, with the
With
When
the
you dress like this
Yeah.
normally, this isn't a costume.
I wish I could.
No,
So
this-
I wish I could. You know.
Right,
rock
all
down
looking
the
good.
street.
I mean, it's going to be an amazing show, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely.
And I'm going to meet up with some of your other co-stars in a bit, but you've got some nutters to work with, haven't you?
Yeah.
Oh my
They're
goodness.
crazy.
And
Dynamic duo.
yeah, with Sam and Ben working together, that's going to be interesting. Are you guys going to try and prank them a bit though? Because they're going to be playing each other up, no end.
Always.
Can we do some behind-the-scenes pranking? Is that going to happen?
We can try,
Yeah,
but I
we'll
think
do our best.
they might make us corpse a bit too much.
That's
might
they might get
they'll
their own
be able
back
to
on
get
stage.
that,
Is
yeah.
that what
Yeah,
you're? But they're going to be trouble anyway. You know that, don't you?
Of course, yeah.
So you've got to be prepared for that.
We're ready.
Yeah.
hope
Well, I
so.
mean,
Keep an eye on
3
it.
versus 2, I think will be fine.
True.
Yeah.
Numbers game.
You're going to work on that.
And this actually honestly works.
Does
I
it?
Can, yeah.
Okay.
Really can use it.
We can't test it now because it only
no,
works
no.
from the
Yeah,
24th
yeah.
of November through to the 7th of January, doesn't
yes.
it?
Well said.
There's always a time limit on a wand. That's the way they work. But it's going to be good fun. Are you guys dragging any of your family and friends along as well?
Oh, absolutely.
They-
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
they're
Yeah,
gonna
I've got
come-
friends who are going to want to come down from London, 100%.
Yeah, because you guys are in stuff all over the place, aren't you? And the fact we are lucky enough to have you spending so many weeks in Lichfield over Christmas is a treat for everyone. So it's going to be good. And what are you looking forward to most about Panther? You've mentioned your costume. Is that going to be it?
Yeah, 100%.
Not-
Walking, you know what it is?
Go on.
It's seeing my mum see me in that costume.
Yeah.
That's going to be the best part.
Okay, that'll be magical.
Oh, I love the audience's interaction and like their responses to it. I always love seeing it, and it changes day to day as well, which is the
Yeah.
best
It's
part.
never,
as well.
never
Yeah.
Panto is never the same show
No,
twice.
never, ever.
No,
Absolutely
so that'll be good.
Probably the run up to Christmas because it gets even more exciting every day and seeing all the kids get.
You're looking forward to the Secret Santa with the rest of the cast, aren't you?
yeah.
That's what it is. You're basically
Yes,
looking
we've
for
got to do
gifts.
one of them.
Yeah, so that will no doubt happen. It is all going to be taking place down at the Lichfield Garrick, lichfieldgarrick.com to get your tickets. 01543 412121 is the box office number. See these and the rest of the mad fun people in the show. Have a brilliant time over Christmas, break a leg, and we look forward to seeing you on stage in Beauty and the Beast.
Thanks.
Thanks.
It's pretty much guaranteed that chaos will ensue because Beauty and the Beast is at the Lichfield Garrick from the 24th of November through until the 7th of January. I've got to contend with these for the next 4 minutes. So
4 minutes?
Maybe
We're gonna get
5.
everything in.
We'll get a 7. Okay.
Oh, fine.
Right. So now, obviously, we have cast here. We have Ben Thornton.
Yes, hey.
The returning Ben Thornton. He's come back, but his hair hasn't.
Cheeky Jason, straight
I've
in.
got to try and get the hat straight now.
I'm just trying to be like you, mate.
Yeah,
At least I've got the guts to shave it. You're really holding
well,
on.
no, the little furry bit at the back, I quite enjoy playing with it. Anyway, also here we have Sam Rayburn.
Thank you. Hello.
AKA.
Just looking down the cameras.
You're doing the okay. There we go.
There you go.
You feel better for that?
Do now. Yep. Well,
Yeah. Okay. And I spy evil in our midst as well.
We've not met before, but
No.
don't be too intimidated by me. My name's Sarah Anakin, playing the Enchantress.
Well, there we go.
But she's lovely, really.
She's nice. She's nice.
Yeah.
But she's going to hide that well on stage.
Oh, yeah, probably. Yeah, I heard her evil laugh earlier. She's got that down.
It's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Just do it
Yeah, can
randomly,
you
a point to keep us on
give
our
us an
toes.
example?
Yeah.
Okay, don't stand too close.
That's worth the ticket money
That
alone.
is
That's
amazing.
Isn't
That
that good?
added something to my left ear. I don't know what it was.
I know
but
that was me.
Oh,
Just bring the ear defenders next time.
well, I will know for next time. So we know we have an Enchantress.
Yes.
Sam, who are you this year?
I am Dame.
Oh, I got this forgotten.
Who am I?
Is it written on the
That
back of your
one.
hand or something?
I'm Madam Flop.
Madam Flop.
Yeah, Madam Flop.
Okay. And you seem to be well kitted out with some tools.
Yes,
and
so
some-
Beauty and the Beast, I am an inventor. I'm Belle's mother, not father, as contrary to popular belief, but I'm an inventor. I invent things.
Okay.
Don't ask me what I've invented because I've not read the script yet.
Okay, that will come. But it means you're
Yeah, I've got
splendid in
shots of
engineering
glitter.
type stuff.
Pliers place wonderfully. What's this? Set square.
That's a set square.
Set square.
What else have you
Looks
got in there?
decorated my costume.
And I've got a tape measure.
And?
And my mobile phone, which I invented. And this one. My magnifying glass.
That's good, isn't it?
Thank you.
You need needs the magnifying glass of the phone. Eyesight's going.
maybe.
Too much eye
I've
makeup,
got
it can
my
affect you like
bifocals
that. And how do you work out on all this, Ben? We've brought you back for a reason, I'm going to guess.
I am
My son.
Sam's son.
No, you have to think about that for
Yeah,
a
well,
little
I
while
did
as well.
because one year we weren't, were we? And then it all went strange.
Latin we were. Dick Whittington you were. So we were no Sleeping
Oh, it has
Beauty.
always.
Sleeping Beauty you weren't. But
No,
I
it
think we
confused
thought you
me.
were.
But yes, we are family, and I am Philippe.
Philippe. Oh,
Yes.
I wonder what my surname could be.
is there another
Don't
flop?
think about it
Is there another
too
flop
much.
in there, is there? Philippe.
Maybe,
I like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
That is
yeah.
sweet, isn't it? I like, that's proper Christmas humour, isn't it?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
it's a better level that Sam understands as well, isn't it? Which-
I'm just making sure the cameras have got the angles.
I know everything on you.
Oh, I'm on this side too.
It's too much.
You do this to make it harder for me to edit as well, don't you? I love him to bits, though. He's absolutely amazing. So it's going to be a good family, fun, Christmassy panto.
I hope so. It's
I
the
hope
only
so.
reason we're here.
Yeah.
And we've got. I mean, we had to sit down for this fact earlier. We've got 80 shows this year.
80.
80.
Did you know this when you signed?
No.
No, you nearly grabbed something that you shouldn't. 80 shows this year, 3 on a Saturday. We've got school shows, more school shows than ever before. So we are going to be worked to the bone. Is that a catchphrase? Did I use that one?
Yeah.
I keep
Just
getting
keep
catchphrases
getting his
wrong today.
catchphrases wrong.
But we've got 80 shows.
Have you worked at how many 3-show days?
I think we've only got 2. I'm looking at 2, I think. There's not too many.
No,
But
three. They're telling me
I
3
think.
over there.
Three show days. So my advice always is to come to one of the 3 show days on the last show, because you'll look at us and you'll see fear in our eyes as we come on and don't realise whether we've already done this scene or not. And we're like, have we done? And then they just look at my costume and go, we know where we are now.
Yeah, the frocks give the game away.
For me, yes, Ben will wear the same thing all the way through, so it confuses him. He doesn't know.
It's
Very
really difficult
easy.
for me because I normally only ever enter and exit on stage left, and so who knows which scene it is. So
True.
But are you going to make sure you are absolutely horrible to them?
I will be
Because
quite
these two
horrible.
deserve it.
I
Oh,
haven't quite
Jason.
decided yet how horrible I'm going to be or how mean I can really be. I mean, I have had children crying in the past. It happens, but you know, maybe I could go down the more quirky, funny route if you prefer.
You feed off the audience, you'll find out, won't you?
Yeah,
You-
we'll see. We'll see how Lichfield takes it. I guess.
I mean, the sparkly eyebrows.
He's getting very close,
Well,
isn't he?
A bit disco-y
It's a
today.
bit disco-y as well, which is
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Well, I don't know what songs I'll be singing yet, so who knows?
Well, hopefully I won't be singing any songs.
Oh, you don't want
He's got a
Sam's
lovely
era song.
voice,
A
Sam.
lovely voice that only my mother would love.
Yeah.
The voice of a lark, a pillark. hey,
Hey, very
hey,
good.
thanks.
And he says he hasn't read the script. So she has said she hasn't read the script. I have terrible trouble with gender at this moment in time. But there we go.
Everybody does.
Yeah. So a fun panto, a fun Christmas, and You two guys have got to do comedy again.
Have we?
Yeah.
Oh, are you sure?
We're going to give it a go.
Yeah. Are you prepared for this?
No, I have to say, look, this is exciting because the last time Ben was here, we did slosh.
Yeah.
We haven't done slosh since Ben left. So when Ben was coming
Does
back,
Ben bring the slosh?
Ben mixes it at home.
It's all in my boot of the car, and when I drive it, and then I get
Yeah.
it and it's everywhere.
Makes corner in hell.
Exactly.
Slosh is back.
Is back. Boom, boom, boom.
Do the boom,
Boom, boom, boom. It's going to be
later.
messy. It's
gonna
going to
be
be.
annoying.
The edits.
It's gonna, yeah, the mess. Just like this interview is going to be very messy.
So, no, it's going to be amazing. What are you most looking forward to about being back? Ben?
Well, there's a great buzz about the place. I'm delighted to be back, by the way. I've really missed it here. I love Lichfield audiences. I love the city. It's a lovely place to be at Christmas. And we've got a really good show planned. It's going to be very funny, as
That
I
was
say.
way too serious. I thought you'd say something good. Sam, could you come up with something better?
No, this shirt, it's exciting. This building is now exciting. We've got a new artistic director. The show's got a new director. We've got Daniel Buckroyd arrived in, and he is making this building feel so happy, so lively, and he's full of energy. So I cannot wait to start. And me and him are going to be working together very differently to how I've done pantos here before. So it's exciting. It's a new start. It's fresh, and Beauty and the Beast. It's a different panto to what we've done. It's very musical. So with Daniel's musical expertise and mine and Ben's lack of, this is going to be it's going to be a
awesome.
ride.
Yeah, it'll
it's
be
going to be a
amazing.
ride.
And
That was very serious. He doesn't get told off.
nobody had to try and follow you somehow.
Did fun with him. I've always said.
Could you do some comedy for us about what it's like being in Lichfield for the first time? Because we may struggle here.
Well, I'm very excited to be as evil as possible in Lichfield, and
Answer seriously.
and I can bring my own standard routine if these two fail.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think I might get sacked if I'm too funny.
Well, you've got feathers, though. I mean, you've got feathers, so that's...
There's nothing funnier than a feather, is there?
No. It's amazing.
Have
what
I
you
got
can
a
do with
feather
them.
in my cap?
You have?
There you go. I've got a feather as well.
This was your Robin Hood outfit last year, no?
Yes, yeah. Where does he keep his arrows?
In a quiver.
No.
In a quiver.
No, but you have to say quiver, so then I can quiver. You can't say in a quiver, it doesn't work.
Well, I was quivering.
This is
Do it
why I've
again.
been away.
Hang on, do it.
Oh,
Where does Robin Hood keep
You have
his
to wait for the clap to finish.
Where does Robin Hood keep his arrows?
In a quiver.
No, just quiver.
Did you say it?
What?
fortunately, I have a script at Christmas. You can come along and see them at
Can we just
No, I'm going to do a web
can we
address
just
now.
establish he goes, I say in a quiver, and he goes, where
Oh,
does Robin
like
Hood
do
keep
it in a quiver.
You imbecile.
I just know it's like quiver, like,
do it
and
again.
then I'll ask
No,
again.
you do it again now. Look, this is good.
Where does Robin Hood keep his arrows?
In a quiver.
Where does Robin Hood keep his arrows?
Well, the 4 people in our audience today loved it, which is what counts. Can I do the web address now?
Go on,
Yeah,
mate.
go on.
Please, thank you.
LichfieldGarrick.com, get your tickets. It is the 24th of November through to the 7th of January. 01543 412 121 is that box office number you will need to come and see these. And the rest of the gang, what were you doing then?
Nothing.
You were being naughty, weren't you?
Nothing. I'm going to shave your head next time. I see you.
As long as you do better than yours, we'll be okay. You missed the bottom bit. So come along and see them in Beauty and the Beast at the Garrick. It'll be almost as mental as this. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
The world of genealogy has been rocked by the magic of DNA over the last couple of decades. Somebody who knows a thing or two about genetics is Professor Turi King, who joins me now. Hello.
Hello.
Now, when it comes down to some of your work, we know you from the BBC Two series DNA Family Secrets. These days, understanding your family line from DNA is open to many more people than it ever has been before.
Oh, it's absolutely huge. So when I started in this field about, over 20 years ago, when I was doing my PhD, people could just really look at their surname and whether or not they were related to other people with the same surname, but it had to be guys because we were looking at a piece of DNA known as the Y chromosome. Now, with direct-to-consumer DNA testing company, there's something like nearly 40 million people on these databases.
Wow.
It's absolutely huge. So yeah, you could do all sorts of stuff. You can find out about your ancestry, you can find long lost family members. People are using it to solve cold cases. Yeah, it's absolutely huge now.
And this is something we can find out about ourselves for ourselves. You don't have to have committed a crime to have your DNA taken these days.
That's absolutely true. So these days, I mean, people get them for Christmas presents and birthday presents, and there can be a bit of an irony in that, because sometimes, I mean, I've had people who've contacted me and said, me and my brothers and sisters, we all did DNA tests for my birthday, and I'm not related to them completely. They might find out that they're a half sibling or whatever. So yeah, it's absolutely huge. And obviously the other thing I'm kind of really well known for is the Richard III project. So having led the genetic analysis on the King Richard III project. So I get a lot of people who contact me saying, can you help me? I think I might be related to royalty or this kind of thing. So I get hundreds and hundreds of emails every month from people wanting help with their genealogy and their DNA testing.
Yeah, now you're taking family history on tour as well, and locally you're up in Stafford, coming up in October on the 2nd, and then a little later on in the month you'll be over in Shrewsbury on the 11th at Seven Theatre, and so opportunities to get firsthand a bit of a talking through of the way some of this works. But I mean,
Absolutely.
how do you work this with the audience? Because the audience does not turn up, do a DNA test, and find out who's related in the auditorium. That isn't what we're looking at here, is it?
No. It takes a little bit longer than that. So basically what happened was I started my career under Sir Alec Jeffreys, the chap who invented DNA fingerprinting. So I'm going to be talking to people about how we tell people apart using their DNA, and how that was first started to be used for, it was actually immigration cases, so family cases, and then for forensics, and then it started getting used for genetic genealogy, so people being able to connect family trees together. And then obviously I'm going to do a whistle top, but kind of gossipy tour through the Richard III project, and what went on there. And then into DNA family secrets and what we can do these days with their DNA. Tips and tricks if they're trying to build their family trees, and how they want to use DNA if they want to find out something about their ancestry or find a long lost family member. And then actually back into forensics, because these days we're using exactly the techniques that we use on DNA family secrets to go through cold cases and find criminals decades after they've committed the crime.
It is amazing where you do leave your DNA and where it can come from. There's shedding hair is a bit of a thing, isn't it?
It is. Though in this country, it's illegal to do surreptitious DNA collecting. In the US, it's not. So yes, you hear these stories about people picking up coffee cups and kitchen utensils and this kind of thing, and you can get DNA off of that. But mainly this talk is going to be about family history and how you can use DNA to tell you about yourself and your ancestry and who you're related to.
And so when you're doing this, obviously you do this with caution. You already talked about tales of people finding out things they didn't necessarily want to know. But it is something you've got to be serious about before you start doing it, because this can open up an interesting can of worms or two.
It really can. And so when we do DNA family secrets, that's something that we talk everybody through, because sometimes you can find out things that you weren't quite expecting. So we had a really lovely case, for example. We had Richard, who was in series 1, who took a DNA test, found out that his sister was not his full sister, it was a half sister. And then he was later contacted on Facebook by somebody who said, I used to know your mum back in the day, and I might be your father, and I have a son. And when Richard met this chap's son, Brendan, oh my goodness, they looked so similar. All of us were on the production team, and everybody was like, they must be related. And then when we did the DNA, they weren't. But what we were able to do was then trace the family who he was descended from. It would have been one of 5 brothers. And when we had tried to contact them through the course of DNA Family Secrets, they thought it was a hoax. But when the television series went out, it was really lovely, because the wife of one of the people we were trying to get a hold of was shaking her husband, going, I think this is talking about your family on TV. And they very kindly contacted the production team, took a DNA test, and we were able to find Richard's dad for him. So yeah, you can get some pretty interesting stuff that comes up. So it's just preparing people for, you may find nothing, or you may find stuff you already knew, but you may also find stuff that you really were not expecting. So just be ready for that.
Yeah, and so you maybe it's always nice to know where you came from, but it's something you maybe didn't want to hear about in the first place.
Or for people who've grown up all their lives knowing. So for example, we had Matthew, who's lovely in series 2, who'd been grown up, he's adopted, grown up all his life being told, he knows his mum's English, that his dad is from Jamaica. And when did the DNA testing, I was like, your dad is not from Jamaica. He's from the Seychelles. And so just before the program went out, somebody popped up on the database who turned out to be a half brother. And he also didn't know who his dad was. So we've got these two men who don't know who their father is, but they know their father must be from the Seychelles. When the program went out, somebody watched it and went, they look just like my cousin. Cousin's passed away, but his sister took a DNA test, and from that we were able to say who the father was. So it can be answering really quite deep, long-held questions about who somebody is, I think. So
Yeah.
I feel really privileged to be part of that.
Absolutely. So it is life changing in so many positive ways, isn't it? And just to have that peace of mind of knowing who you are, it's in this day and age, you would hope it wouldn't matter, but it does to so many people.
Oh, it does. And I think particularly if you're adopted, or you've grown up and you've not known who your biological father is, to have some answers is really, really important. And we always have to kind of caution people, because sometimes we might find out who somebody's biological father is, but they've passed away, or they're not ready to say, they didn't know about it, they're not ready, and we have to tell the people who we're doing this with, look, it's not about you, they don't know you. It's they can't handle the situation right now, but give it time. And then other times we do it and we find people's biological parents, and oh my goodness, they are enveloped into the family, and people are delighted to hear about them. I've had so many cases like that, and it's so incredibly heartwarming as they start to sort of negotiate this relationship with this new family. And it's amazing. It can be just like the most wonderful thing ever.
Bringing families that never knew they had families together sounds like an absolutely awesome job. And
Yeah.
there's so much more you'll be able to tell us behind the scenes. And I'm sure you'll be talking a bit about your work with Sir David Attenborough as well during the show, won't you?
He did. So he was lovely. So he took part in my PhD project. So what I was looking at was people with the same surname. Are they all related to one another? And I could look at a piece of DNA known as the Y chromosome. David was my poster boy, bless him, because if you look at Attenboroughs around the country, two different spelling variants, these people don't know they're related to one another. 90% of them were related to each other. And they must go back to an original Mr. Attenborough who lived several hundred years ago. So that's allowed people to start building the family tree. Some people, you can't connect them yet, but they are related to each other, and they're related to David.
Well, it's amazing what can be done. We can see your show at the Stafford Gatehouse. That's currently to be found at staffordgatehouse.co.uk, or give the box office a call on 01785 619 080. And then, of course, if you missed that, on the 11th of September, you've got Shrewsbury. That's Theatre 7. You can find them on 01743 28 1281. theatre7.co.uk is the website for them. And as I say, that's coming up in Stafford on the 2nd of October and the 11th in Shrewsbury. And it's a sort of a talk which could inspire you to go out and find out more about you and your family. And I think it's even if it's not something you're thinking about, the science here is amazingly interesting, isn't it?
Oh, I absolutely love it. And yes, I'll be doing a gossipy bit about Richard III. It's actually 11 years today that we started uncovering his remains in that car park in Leicester.
And
so I'll chat about that.
Who would have thought where that was going to go when that all started to happen? I mean, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely amazing. One of the best things I've ever worked on.
Well, the voice and the magic behind the show that is family history. DNA detective Professor Turi King. Have a brilliant time out on the road. We don't have to say break a leg in your case because it's not a musical theatre show. But thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
27% of adults are struggling with their mental health because of the cost of living crisis, rising to 70% of 18 through 24-year-olds. Obviously, concerns surrounding the help that may be needed here with the hidden impacts of the cost of living crisis. To tell us more, I'm joined now by Professor Green, musician and mental health advocate, and Jessica Taplin of British Gas, the Energy Trust Chief Executive. Good afternoon to you both.
Afternoon.
Afternoon.
So, first of all, I mean, I'm not sure if to call you Professor or Mr.
Stephen.
Stephen. Okay.
Stephen. That's what my nan calls me. Well, she calls me other stuff as well, but we won't get into that.
So, Stephen, tell us a bit about the research to begin with.
The research is quite staggering, isn't it? As you said, there are 27% of all adults in Britain that are struggling with their mental health because of the cost of living crisis, rising to 70% of 18 to 24-year-olds, 52% of 25 to 34-year-olds. That's a lot of people worrying about how they're going to afford to live. And this isn't about affording the luxuries and the nicer things that make life tolerable. This is about the very bare minimum and basics that many people who would have otherwise taken for granted are now finding actually for the first time that they're struggling to afford. I mean, you think about the effect of looking at your outgoings as stripped back as they could possibly be and realizing that you're still in negative. The stress that comes with that, the impact of worrying about how you're going to afford the bare minimum to support your household. And this isn't happening in households where people are not working, or not only where people are not working. This is also occurring in households where there's dual incomes, where people have otherwise been able to support their household.
And so that is obviously a major concern. We're going back here 40, 50 years. One income was required to run a household. We're in a position now whereby two, and sometimes even the kids contributing as well as they get older, are still struggling to be able to cover all the bills. Now, we've seen that with the rising cost of energy. We've got a rising cost of food as well, even though food is still a lower part of our incomes than it ever has been before. But equally, people find themselves under a lot of pressure. And when it comes to heading towards the winter months, obviously, we've got concerns there. And Jessica, it's going to be difficult for some people to be able to afford to switch on the heating this year.
I think it's going to be very challenging for a lot of families this winter, which is why we want people to start now thinking about the help they might need, to look at their incomes and their outgoings. And this is why we're again running the British Gas Post Office pop-ups. This is the third year we've been running them. And it's all about having that money and energy advice in the heart of the local community so people can go and seek help.
And also, based upon research, these pop-ups happening in the communities which are known to us to be the most in need at this moment in time.
Yeah, and it's identifying that need, which is part of the issue here. And because very often people won't talk about their problems, not only to their friends or family, but don't want to approach for help.
Of course not, because there's a level of shame that comes with poverty. I grew up in a low-income household. These are things that, there was no talk of an energy cost of energy crisis, cost of living crisis, any kind of crisis when I was growing up. We didn't attribute anything to anything per se. It was just that we were poor, but things were very similar then. It seems like a new problem, but these are things that have been going on for, when I was a kid, my first memories are probably back to when I was 3 or 4 years old, and I saw stress in my household. My nan's struggling to pay bills, putting money on the electric or the gas. What do we do? Forever living in the emergency. These are problems that have gone on for a long, long time, but they're highlighted at the moment because things are so severe.
Yeah, and your youth was in the 80s. I was born in the 70s, and if you go back to maybe our parents and grandparents' times, actually some of the things that people are going through now may have been there, but we should be a better society, a more caring society, and one that's able to look after each other better these days.
Definitely, but if people are scared to talk up, then it's very difficult to do so. That's why I think the British Gas Post Office pop-ups is such a great thing, because post offices exist in the heart of a community, and because the British Gas Energy Trust are working with charities that already exist in these communities, that understand the specific needs of their communities and already have relationships with people, it's much more likely that they'll be willing to talk, especially with the privacy afforded to them by the spaces they're given to talk to money and energy advisors at the British Gas Post Office pop-ups.
So, Jessica, how does it work? What do people do?
So they need to have a look online to find out where their closest post office pop-up is to them. They can go down on one of the days. There will be a money and energy advisor there who will come from one of the charities Stephen's just been talking about, and they will listen to whoever comes in, listen to their issues, treat them very much as a person. Everyone is different. Everyone's circumstances are very different. They'll look at things like income maximizations, benefit support. They can potentially do advocacy. They'll help you apply for energy debt grants if it's needed. But it is about putting that individual and that household first, listening to them, and then helping work out a way forward.
Yeah, very much looking at the whole picture, looking at you as an entire person and not just looking at any one aspect of your life.
And hoping to bringing together some of those aspects to make life just that bit easier, and maybe either with some help or being able to get a grant or some other financial assistance that they hadn't realised was available, or to be better able to use the energy that they have.
That's absolutely right. And we would encourage people within Wolverhampton to really have a look at debt write-off grants, so they can go onto our website. You can, if you're a prepayment meter customer at the moment, it doesn't matter if you're with British Gas or not, you are able to apply potentially for a debt write-off grant to help you this winter.
Exactly. So some opportunities there. Give us all the web details so we know where to go to try and get this help and to find the pop-ups near us.
Hop online to the British Gas Energy Trust website and you'll be able to find all the relevant information to find your closest pop-up there.
So search for the British Gas Energy Trust and find out where you can get help and where that difference can be made. And it could be the difference between putting food on the table and keeping warm this winter and being able to keep going all the parts of your life, everything through from hygiene, poverty, and all the other issues that hit people under these circumstances to make for a better life. And of course, that helps mental health. And we certainly want to be able to make sure that everybody is in the best position possible. Obviously, there are other agencies you can talk to too about your mental health, and always approach your doctor as well if you do need to be able to talk to somebody there too. But for now, Professor Green and Jessica Taplin of British Gas, the Energy Trust Chief Executive, thank you both for joining us.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
I'm joined now by the Head of Community Engagement here at the Lichfield Garrick, John McLean. Hello, sir.
Hello, hello.
Now, when we're not seeing you on stage and you're not involved in 101 other projects, you're busy working away here. And there's been some amazing stuff this year. I mean, the community show earlier on in the year, that looked fantastic. And you've got so much going on. You're a very busy man.
Yes. So we've just had Win in the Willows, our community musical, which thankfully was a wonderful success. And we are just in the process now of having launched our new Young Garrick membership, which is a whole new initiative. It's the year, in some ways it's the year of the young person. It's a good time to be between the ages of 14 to 25 here in Lichfield and sort of surrounding areas, as we have a brand new free membership that entitles young people to a whole load of different perks and exciting activities to get involved with.
It's about getting them interested in theatre, and not only have you got obviously the community groups that use the theatre as part of their Amdram productions, and there's youth groups there too, but also it's getting them along to see shows and get them interested in what's going on. Panto is obviously a bit of a starting point, but there's so much more that they can enjoy too.
Absolutely. So this year we are releasing for the first time, as part of that membership, £5 discounted tickets on select shows. So director's picks in the brochure, young people can get £5 tickets for that with their membership, as well as hosting a couple of, we're calling them sort of theatre trips, which is an invitation for a number of young people to come along and see a theatre show of our choosing as a group. So essentially having a little class trip to share some time with people with the same interests and enjoy their love of theatre, have the chance to chat about it afterwards. But yes, so young people, we recognise money can sometimes be a bit of a barrier for a young person. Everyone has access to different amounts of funds, so we've tried as much as possible with our Young Garrick membership to keep all of our activities either free or £5.
And that way, I mean, you can start a conversation, as you said, groups coming together and having a chat about a show. I mean, that is really the start of getting to grips with the arts, and there's so much out there, and that's the great thing. Polarising opinion in every single show you go and see, but there is something for everybody.
Absolutely. I think the big secret to kind of getting people into the arts, it sounds obvious, but just enjoying an experience with it. I think so many people's experience, and you know, it works for some people that their first thing they do is drama at school or a school play or that kind of thing. But I think we're keen to take as many barriers out of the way for young people to come in and discover that theatre has something for them. You know, for some people that'll be discovering that they love participating in it, they love performing or that kind of thing. Other people might just find they have a real love of being in that theatre, feeling the buzz of a show about to begin. And other people might find that they enjoy just learning new skills. So we've got £5 workshops as well. We've got one coming up on acrobatics. We've got stage combat, a whole host of different activities. We're keen to show young people as much of the world of theatre as possible.
And it's because it's the technical side as well. They don't actually have to be seen, but they can have what they do heard.
Absolutely. I think the backstage technical world is a world that so often gets kind of ignored, or you just never really get the full flavour of. And so we're really excited as well in that we are offering free places for backstage tours for young people. You can either join on to one of our standard backstage tours with a free place, or you can come to a Young Garrick specific, where we sort of talk a little bit more about some of the things that might be relevant to young people specifically, and they can come and see how everything works, see all of the lights in action, and generally just get a real flavour of what the Litchfield Garrick is behind the scenes as well.
And there's so many opportunities in theatre, and it can be really partly character building. It helps people in other areas of their life, and that's why we so many people who are in amateur dramatic groups do so well in everything else that they do, because they've got that experience of becoming somebody else for a week every June.
Absolutely. I think taking part in the arts, it can offer confidence, it's resilience, it offers the chance to just live a different life for a little bit, which is such an exciting thing, as well as just the chance to get a better understanding of yourself, I think. A chance to self-reflect. It offers something, and also just a chance to run around, to play mad drama games or do exciting things. How often do you get to have a sword fight with somebody outside, well, legally anyway? I think it has so much to offer, and young people, I think the world seems to be becoming ever increasingly closed off, and so many doors feeling like they're getting slammed in young people's faces. We're keen to just at least open a few more in this building.
Well, obviously it's great opportunities, and they can find out more by signing up, and as you said, signing up is absolutely free.
Yes, so the membership is completely free. It's dead easy to sign up. All you need to do is go to our website, so www.litchfieldgarrick.com. On our Get Involved tab, there's a Young Garrick membership page. The membership sign-up form asks for a name, an email address, a parent or guardian's name if you're under 18, and then you're golden. You've got that membership, and you can start having a look at what we've got on offer.
And then you'll be a part of a newsletter as well, and that sort of releases will let you know what's going on. And getting people involved, that's the involvement, isn't it? And there's no need to be shy. If you are shy, you'll be able to help people work through that, won't you?
Absolutely. Well, everything we do is designed so that anybody can enjoy it. We're a big kind of fan of inclusivity. We try really, really hard, whether that's kind of for the access needs or equally just someone who's a bit shy isn't about to sort of walk into a room and feel like they own it. Mm-hmm. And also, you get very, very confident people who can still feel like they're trespassing a bit when they first go into a theatre, if that's not been a part of their life before. We are keen to welcome everybody and make sure that they have as much of a place and a stake in the theatre as anybody else.
And I think one of the best bits is, your community engagement down here, but you are a professional performer as well. So, people will have seen you on stage potentially, not only in this building, but many more. And it means you get it as well as everyone else gets it too.
Absolutely. I think one thing we champion massively is, we're very inclusive, but what we also bring to the table is access to theatre professionals. Almost all of our workshops, all of our projects, we always bring the most qualified, the most professional, kind of talented creatives we can to essentially create that supportive bubble for young people to kind of explore new disciplines, explore themselves, and do that in a safe, comfortable environment with people who really understand the ins and outs and inner workings of the creative industry.
Always go to litchfieldgarrick.com to find out more and get yourself involved and have some great times down here at the Litchfield Garrick. Johnny, thank you.
It'd be great to have you here.
That's it all for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. Back with episode 745 next week. I'll see you then. Ta-ra for now.
Goodbye from the milk bar. 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 Yeah. Goodbye from the milk bar. Yeah.